London is going crazy after a British citizen was exposed as a Hamas leader, putting pressure on Prime Minister Starmer to take action. National Affairs, the British Treasury is examining imposing sanctions on Zaher Birawi, a Palestinian British activist who was accused of ties to Hamas and a central role in the flotilla to the Gaza Strip. Birawi has been filmed several times alongside senior Hamas officials, including former leader Ismail Haniyeh. So we have a lot to talk about today. Now we're moving to international affairs, as a Hamas suspect has been exposed in the heart of Lebanon, far from the Gaza Strip and even Doha. The suspect is a 64-year-old British citizen, Zaher Birawi, and he has been defined by the intelligence officials as someone who effectively serves as one of Hamas's faces in Europe and manages its activities from quiet offices in the north of the city of London. The British Treasury is now examining whether to impose sanctions on him under the 2019 counter-terror regulations. If he is defined as a designated person, his assets will be frozen and the transfer of funds and resources for him will be prohibited. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has also previously declared that he will act against suspected Hamas operatives on UK soil. Birawi, a West Bank-born British citizen, heads the Palestinian Forum in Britain and was amongst those responsible for the Gaza aid flotillas earlier this year, in which Greta Thunberg participated. These were a classic example of combining Western humanitarian discourse with the interests of an Islamist terrorist movement. Furthermore, Member of Parliament Christian Wakeford mentioned that in 2013, Birawi was marked by Israel as a senior Hamas operative in Europe and described an event in London in 2019 titled Understanding Hamas, in which he was involved. The Intelligence and the Terrorism Information Center think tank also claimed that Birawi publicly praises Hamas and helped establish front organizations for it, including the Palestinian Return Center and the Palestinian Forum, which operate from an ordinary office building in North London. Israeli intelligence officials defined the Return Center as Hamas's organizational arm in Europe as far back as 2010. Also, Birawi was photographed again and again alongside senior Hamas officials, including Ismail Haniyeh and Mahmoud el-Zahar, and presents himself as one of the founders of the International Freedom Flotilla Coalition, whose flotilla was seized by Israel in June. Of course, he and all the organizations linked to him strongly deny any connection to terror and that they claim political persecution because of these acts. And in the meantime, in London, human rights organizations, mass demonstrations, and respectable figures serve as convenient cover for an extreme Islamic infrastructure that is deepening roots inside the West quietly under the radar until the system decides whether to wake up or not. And here at TBN Israel, we will continue to bring you the full truth about what's happening in Israel, in this region, and we invite you to pray, because this is a spiritual war. And the best thing that you can do in this situation is ask God to intervene, to give wisdom to our leaders, to your leaders in this situation, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Hello, this is Mati here in Jerusalem with TBN Israel.
This is Yair Pinto from TBN Israel here in Jerusalem. TBN Israel is keeping viewers informed with Israel-focused news, culture, and what God is doing in this land.
Really interesting report, Benita. For those who don't know who Zaher Birawi is, he basically runs the Palestinian Forum in Britain. This is known as the PFB. And it gained a lot of attention specifically this year, all because of those flotillas that you mentioned, specifically the Madeleine, which was carrying Greta Thunberg, all with the goal of trying to break Israel's naval blockade on the Gaza Strip. Now, Birawi has long been funding some of these different pro-Palestinian activist groups and these flotillas as well. This has been out in the open, but now what's new, according to this most recent report, is the United Kingdom is examining whether his activities actually meet the legal threshold for terrorism-related sanctions, as you mentioned, basically looking into some long-standing accusations that Birawi has close connections and ties with the Hamas terror group himself. Now, these are accusations and allegations that Birawi himself denies. He says, I'm just a pro-humanitarian supporter and a pro-Palestinian activist. But this is where the UK is now looking into to see if those allegations are actually true, because as I mentioned, these have been long-standing accusations. Now, this also all ties in together with some documents that Israel found within the past month inside Gaza. The Israeli officials and IDF claims that they found these documents actually linking Hamas not only to supporting these different flotillas and these different goals trying to break the naval blockade on the Gaza Strip, but actually funding these flotillas as well. These documents are not public. We have not seen them, but different reports show that they have been shared with different partners and allies to Israel. Perhaps one of them could be the UK to further investigate a situation like this. So this is how Birawi ties all into it. You ask how Greta Thunberg ties into it. She was on board the ship. She's long been accused of promoting the different agenda with this and using her stance to push a certain agenda. No one is accusing Greta Thunberg at this point of actually having direct ties with Hamas herself. She was just one of the celebrity activists that was on board the ship. But certainly the Palestinian Forum in Britain, this PFB that's all run by Birawi, it's raising some serious questions with this most recent reporting to show not only how far the humanitarian effort can go, but if we are seeing these connections and this ties and this funding from Hamas and this direct lineage and linkage between the two.